The ego is the system that runs your sense of self. It is made out of thought patterns, emotions, and behavioral loops, and the stories that try to hold it all together. Left unchecked, it creates endless existential searching, chronic disconnection, and the persistent sense that something is wrong. The goal of my videos is clarity, to see your identity and its contradictions for what they are, named precisely, to finally understand what it is that we're all running away from. The ego runs on the idea that reality is bad somehow, and that itself needs to fix it. Something about your life needs to be not good enough, or something about society needs to be wrong, or something about the nature of physics itself and the way it has brought all of these life forms that suffer endlessly into this world is wrong and it should be fixed. From there, the mind thinks in 1,000 ways how to square the circle and make life somehow acceptable. And there's a huge amount of resistance to life in this state of being, because you look at what is possible and you cannot mend the sheer horror that you're witnessing into something acceptable. If you have been deeply hurt in your life, you know how deep the suffering goes. And if you then look out in the world and see how much suffering is out there, it's very easy to believe that reality could never, ever be perfect. The idea of perfection sounds like an insult to all the problems that humanity is facing since the dawn of time. But, and that's the shocking realization through identity dissolution, reality is actually perfect. Every atom is where it's supposed to be, and in the only place it can be. The ego is the part that believes it has influence and control over reality, and therefore it forces itself into this model where itself needs to be higher than nature, higher than existence, and correct the mistakes of nature itself for its own benefit. If you're looking into modern productivity culture, you can see this obsession with digital optimization and higher levels of productivity and diminishing levels of anxiety and becoming more successful in the dating market and looksmaxxing your face for the utmost beauty so that you can have the best version of reality, because reality right now is not good enough. All of these approaches to improve reality somehow will always lead to a sense of dissatisfaction. Things can always be better for once, but this is not the actual problem. The actual problem is that the machinery that is saying that things are not good enough is the thing that needs to actually die in order for you to be satisfied. These Looksmaxxers are actually a good example for this, because it is very obvious that looks matter in day-to-day life. It's not that the core idea of it is wrong. They have a huge influence on how people perceive your life or your identity or the way you speak or your intelligence. It permeates everywhere. And it started very strong. It starts very early for young women. But now men are also getting into this constant muddy dysmorphia narrative. And what then happens is that people basically overestimate the importance of looks and start to basically always run this background comparison mechanism in their mind, which is absolutely torture, and I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. I would much rather be ugly and happy than consistently worrying about my physical appearance. There's an overestimation of how much something matters. And this happens in fitness, this happens in your life purpose and career-wise, or finding the meaning of existence and all of the stuff. And these things do matter. They have an actual impact, but they are not as personal as the ego wants them to be. They're actually pretty normal stuff of life. And it doesn't mean that you cannot try to look as beautiful as possible without being identified with the sense of always not being good enough. But it requires actually a lot of spiritual wisdom to pull that off. You need to be genuinely attached from the outcome while still seeing the benefit of going for it. I saw this interview from Clavicula. I think that's probably one of the first name drops that I'm doing on the channel. It's actually quite random. I saw this interview on Channel 5 where at the end he needed to assert that, the interviewer was being disingenuous because he couldn't believe that he looks at the mirror and genuinely doesn't see any imperfection in its face or something that he wants to improve.
When you wake up every single morning and you take a look in the mirror, you're 100% satisfied with every single thing. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, dude. All right, well, I guess that's just, if you want to be completely disingenuous, that's fine with me. I guess there's just no point to continue.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right.
Yep.
The incredulity here shows how much the entire ego architecture has been built to find flaws in one's own body. And this is extremely horrible. This is what we do with almost every philosophical and spiritual concept. We have a system running in our minds that tells us something needs improvement, and it is agonizing. If you start to drop this layer of the mind that is constantly looking for improvement and start to notice that it's all vanity, now something much more terrifying appears in your awareness, and it's that everything is completely symmetric and your own ego and your sense of identity is literally made out of pure suffering. You are the problem. You are the entire thing that is making things worse because you are the thing that is looking for problems and looking for mistakes. It's common to believe that once this is seen, there's no way out. You are basically stuck in a life full of suffering, and there's the belief that ego is somewhat necessary and all you need to do is balance it. And this is somewhat accurate. Ego is very normal for 99% of human beings. It's the default state of indoctrination of society, but it's not necessary. It can become transparent, and if you were to dedicate your life to it, you could even completely dissolve it. But even chasing this ego dissolution process as a goal would be falling into the same trap of thinking that something is not good enough. Now, if your life is falling apart because you cannot pay the bills and somebody is dying in your family and who knows what else you're dealing with right now, then just saying everything is perfect is of course not your lived experience. In your lived experience, you actually need to move through these problems and solve these problems, and they can put stress on your nervous system and stress on your mind. But there's a quiet okayness that you can find underneath because you are not bound to your external circumstances. You are the immediacy of the emptiness of your experience. And if you start to rest in that, and you can see how determined reality is, how the appearance of control and responsibility are pretty much an illusion of the ego itself, you then can start to embrace the chaos of life, embrace even the chaos of your own life, and stop resisting moving towards it. Now you find a silence there that, if you move through it fully, moves from fear into a sense of utter perfection. It's a sense of destiny or determinism, like the universe is willing itself into these states. And then you start to see that there is no other possible configuration of the universe than the configuration that you are in right now. The idea that you could go back to the past and do something that you couldn't have done otherwise, or that you could change your present moment experience in some meaningful way, doesn't make sense. Because the moment you are something, you simply are the thing. Being the thing and then wondering or wishing you were something else is where the sense of imperfection comes from. And it goes further than just your personal identity. If you truly go to the deep end of this psychological metaphysical process, then you can also feel identified with the entire human species, or with the entire, with every mode of awareness on this planet, or with existence itself. And when you're confronted with these deep states where you're forced to either surrender to life, surrender to experience, or resist, it seems quite direct that the universe is telling your ego, you either surrender to myself, you either surrender to me, you surrender to just the emptiness of it all and let all phenomena flow, or you hold back and suffer. And there's where you find the dichotomy between heaven and hell, not as spiritual places that exist somewhere, but as states of consciousness. Letting go and flowing into phenomena is heaven. Resisting phenomena, not wanting to be, is hellish. You can always choose heaven when you let go of your need for something to be otherwise. And it will always hurt when you're in physical pain, for example. It is not a magical psychological pill that will make pain go away. But your relationship to that pain can in fact make a tremendous change. When you know how to separate pain from suffering, you know that you can experience pain just for what it is, without this mental overlay of, oh, why me? Or why is this meaningless suffering something that I need to endure, and I wish the universe was different, and all of this emotional and moral baggage that you're loading onto the thing. For example, you might have stomach issues, and then you have a stomach cramp, and you can try to understand where this comes from on a biological level, and then try to act against it, or try to experience the pain for what it is. Or you can be bothered by the fact that you just now must go through stomach pain and wonder spiritually how you can become immersed with awareness so you don't have to feel the pain anymore. But this is the resistance. It doesn't work. It's when you can stand still in the pain without making a narrative about it that you're becoming more peaceful. The deeper psychological breakdown of this entire process of dissolution is something that you can get deeper access to in my one-on-one ego architecture audit that you can find in the PDF below. Our deepest agonies are always related to a resistance to what is, to the tautological nature of experience itself. And the acceptance of this is a quiet being. This quiet being can be extremely scary because it is something so much vaster and so much grandioser than the ego itself. But doing the dissolution process, you start to identify with the phenomena, with pure consciousness, with awareness, because there was just an illusion of separation from phenomena. But if you just meditate on your own experience right now, you can notice that what you really are made out of are not just physical atoms in your body, but it's the perception of these physical atoms in awareness, the perception of your visual field. Every little sensation of qualia is happening in direct immediacy in your experience. There's nothing to doubt or question. It is a tautology being itself fully, and you are it 100%. The closer you can accept psychologically that you are it 100%, the more you become silent, the less you think, the less you need to have a narrative going on about some hero's journey or whatever else needs saving in the moment. But things quiet down and you become much more like a cat that can just sit in the sun and chill when it's safe and fed. Our sense of goodness is a very egocentric and subjective sense of goodness that for most people just means it benefits myself. But true goodness from like a universal perspective is really freedom. It is letting something be without having to intervene in it. This means that true goodness from this lens would mean to let everything unfold as naturally as possible without wanting to intervene in it whatsoever. This is what we sense as love. That's why the idea, where the idea comes from that love is letting go, because if you let something go, it can come to you when it wants, and it can leave when it wants, and it can be what it wants, and you don't control its emotions, and you don't control what it does for you, and you don't try to get something out of it. When you do, nice, and if you don't, perfect as well. You just let something be. The universe is doing this with absolutely everything. It has completely let go of all needs, of every need for boundaries or some sort of limitation to itself. And you then end up being one little limitation in this endless boundlessness. And with this seeming limitation that you have in your current human configuration, you are still part of the entirety of everything that made you you. Like, your current experience right now is literally the history of all the universe colliding into your present moment experience. So it is impossible for you to actually be separated from everything else, despite you being aware as this pure locality. See this for yourself. Deconstruct every doubt you have from how you are yourself, and liberate the constant need to not be in the silence. And the more you let go, you will suddenly notice there's a huge amount of agency and freedom to be found in every single moment of your life. There's a perfection and utter beauty to the way every aspect of reality works. There's nothing in experience, nothing in physical reality that isn't absolutely perfect.